Right, well, now time for something completely different. I thought we'd do a white pill for once.
Oh, good.
Something a bit different, a tech-based segment, rather than just endlessly reacting to the news cycle and what Trump or somebody tweeted last time. Well, having said that, I'm going straight to an Elon tweet from just yesterday or 2 days ago. Can you play that little video that Elon posted without any further comment? There's multiple starships there heading to the red planet.
It's like the Harkonnens descending into the Arrakis.
Yeah,
but the difference is that Musk...
It is a bit like
Musk
Arrakis.
probably actually can do this.
Mm.
He probably can actually pull this off.
Right, yeah, so I thought we'd do a segment talking all about Mars and the realities of going to Mars and things. Hopefully it will happen in my lifetime. There's talk of the 2030s or maybe the 2040s. Yeah. I suspect it will be much, much longer than that. I just hope I'm still alive to see it.
I think he wants his first unmanned mission in 29. So the way it works with Mars...
No, in 2026 there's planning to
2026, yeah, because the way it works with Mars is
unmanned
on their own orbit. Basically, you get a 4-year launch window. Every 4 years you get a launch window where you need to sort of take off and just get Mars as it's passing. Yeah. But then you've got to wait another 4 years to come back again or go there.
I see people in the chat saying if Bo gets to Mars, you won't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I believe. I believe. Yeah, I know the other one was a load of bunk, but I've explained my reasons for that. But I reckon Elon could pull this off. So
yeah, the window's changed. So the way orbital dynamics work is that the closer you are to the sun, the faster you go round the sun.
Yeah.
So, in other words, sometimes Mars is on the other side of the sun to us.
Yeah.
And you have to wait until the right window where it lines up, and you go to where Mars will be. And it takes something in the order of 9 months or something to get out there, and then you have to stay there for about 6 months, and then you can come back again. So it's like something like a 2-year, maybe more, round journey.
Yeah, or you wait there for 4 years and you do it the next pass. Yeah,
that's simply not.
Well, if he's going to have a colony
at this point, yeah. But no, we're talking about the first ever human feet on Mars, boots rather, on Mars. So it's still a long way out there, and the actual details of the Mars mission are still largely not set in stone or anything. Like, for example, NASA hasn't picked a landing spot on Mars or anything like that yet.
It's a shame NASA's still involved.
Well, yeah, SpaceX is only a partner to NASA. NASA's still the biggest boys on the block. But any Mars mission will be sort of a worldwide effort, or at least be the European Space Agency, the Russians will be involved, the Japanese will be involved, the Chinese, the Indians in small part, and lots of other outside companies. So, for example, the company, I can't remember their name now.
Hopefully not Boeing.
There's like a completely different company. It's nothing to do with NASA or SpaceX or anything, that are manufacturing the spacesuits, for example.
Louis Vuitton.
So this is the future of
they're all stolen
space
now.
Exploration. Yeah. So it'll just get subcontracted out to all different things. So, for example, everyone knows of Elon's the Starship.
Yeah.
Well, that's really just the vehicle. I say just, but that's the vehicle that will actually land on the moon and on Mars. It's not necessarily the rocket that will take up lots of other stuff.
Yeah.
NASA will still be making and be in control of lots of other elements of it. It's not like an Elon and SpaceX on their own are going to go to Mars. It will take really our whole world effort to make it happen, because technically the technical challenge of going to Mars is gigantic. It really is incredible.
Especially since we don't have all that hyper advanced 1950s technology.
Yeah, anymore. Well, that's one of the things. So let's talk about what the actual steps will be.
Yeah.
Okay, so their thinking is the idea of launching off from the Earth to go straight to Mars. That's just not possible. The physics and all sorts of things just don't work. Even going to
such a huge distance.
Well, yeah, you just couldn't. You'd have to build such a gigantic rocket to take all that stuff.
It's the weight of the fuel, so it's a lot easier to get the fuel into orbit or the moon first.
So if you look at the Apollo missions, I know you've got questions, at least as of I actually, over the earlier ones, but anyway, it's a tiny little module at the top of those giant Saturn V rockets, just to go to the moon and back in one go.
Yeah.
Right? Now, NASA don't want to do that. They don't want to go back to the moon or Mars just so you can say you've done it and spend a few hours there. Even sort of Apollo 16 and 17, they're only there for a few hours before they had to come back. So the thinking is, we've got the International Space Station. We'll have a new upgraded space station, a refueling station, really. So Elon and NASA will build many, many starships, dozens maybe. And you get them up because it takes 90% of your fuel just to get out of Earth gravity, to get into low Earth orbit. Then you refuel the starships at our space station in low Earth orbit. Then you go to the moon, where there'll be a moon base and a lunar station. They're going to be calling it the Gateway Lunar Station. Then you refuel again there, and then you go to Mars.
Yep.
And there'll be whole vehicles that were never meant to land. You build them maybe even in orbit, and they're never meant to be ever meant to be captured properly by the gravity of Earth, the Moon, or Mars, or anything. So it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different beast to trying a moonshot Apollo style and coming back in one go, like Alpine style. It will just be because they want to try and stay, right? The idea is not to do that thing where you touch down for a few hours. It's actually to stay. So
People need some quiet.
And would you actually go to Mars?
yeah, I'd volunteer, 100%.
I'd go as well.
Even if I died, you'd die gloriously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it basically is an irradiated desert with nothing on it, not even a bar.
Yeah, but
How
it's
is
a cool one.
How is that much different to Swindon?
Well, because I can
No,
because I can leave Swindon whenever I want, and they have bars.
no, it would be a glorious, glorious journey. It would be an odyssey beyond any
I mean,
compare.
I might go once they've got.
It would be an adventure, Dan. Where's your sense of
I
adventure?
might go once they've got the nighttime economy set up. I'm not going before then.
No, your name would be etched into the annals of time of one of the greatest explorers.
Yeah,
of
but
all
he
time.
wouldn't read it. That's not a good No, but I would definitely go.
Yeah, I'd go.
Yeah.
I haven't got any skills, though.
I mean,
I'm afraid.
It's not
I'll be the-
exactly there's a huge supply of workforce in Mars. So,
I'm not a geologist or anything. I don't know about like building hydroponics out of from
I mean-
scratch. Or I'll be the poet. I'll be the mission poet.
you've watched
I'll write
Total
about it.
Recall with
Yeah.
Arnie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it could be something like that. Where we need air. You remember when he was telling Cohagen, give these people air.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they need to build.
Well, Elon's ultimate vision is to like have a giant city on there, like 1 million people.
Yeah.
Go and colonize it permanently, absolutely permanently. That is, I mean, that will take decades, maybe even more.
Yeah, just self-sustaining is like a real challenge.
But so to go to Mars, you would need lots and lots, like the habitation, lots of things to already be there. So you need loads and loads of missions to drop loads of stuff already there. For example, there's the example of the Perseverance rover, if anyone knows about that. So we can drop something the size of a car that's completely automated that can do all sorts of things. Oh yeah, I mean, if you play that video, don't put the audio on, but if you play it, and if anyone remembers, this is quite a few years ago now. That's it dropping into the Martian atmosphere. They had a thing called the Sky Crane. Do you remember Perseverance? Anyone? Do you remember?
I know the thing you're referring to now. You're showing it, but I didn't.
It's a giant rover that's like the size of a car.
Yeah.
And it had a giant. That's real footage. That's the surface of Mars. If you believe all the NASA lies and propaganda, that is.
I believe this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they had a thing called a Sky Crane where it had rockets to sort of stabilize itself and then drop Perseverance down on some tethers and drop it gently on the surface. Anyway, we'll let that play for a bit while I keep on talking. But no, so putting humans on Mars is technically a massive, massive task. So first of all, we'd need a much bigger and better Earth space station. Then you need a lunar station, Gateway. But they also want to put people back on the moon to return to the moon.
Return.
Yeah. But again, sort of at least semi-permanently, a base, perhaps on the south pole of the moon. For all sorts of reasons, you want that or will need that. So that's one of the first big steps, is that, and building this gateway thing. So there's the new Apollo, the updated of the Apollo program is the Artemis program. Or just what I think there's a few more interesting clips of the Perseverance thing. You skip forward maybe a little bit, Samson. A bit more. Well, anyway, just watch it from there. Again, to me, incredible footage of an alien world. It's touching down. It's really, really close to the ground at that point.
It reminds me of chocolate a bit. I don't know why. The Ferrero Rocher.
Look, they're the jets, and they're dropping it down on the tether. Looking straight up, that's the sky crane. And then it breaks the tether. And anyway, we've got lots of clever chaps working on this sort of stuff. There's one other link. The next link, actually, Perseverance brought a little drone. Do you remember this? This was a few years ago. One of the first white pill segments I've attempted with Callum was us showing this. That's actually a little drone on Mars. And it worked really, really well, surprisingly well. As long as there's not storms, you can sort of fly around.
It's quite good because it's a very thin atmosphere.
It's really cool, yeah. It's obviously less gravity, but much less atmosphere.
Yeah.
But these guys are really clever, and they figured it all out. And it is actually a roaring success.
I think we will do this
drone.
as humanity, but I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetimes. I hope it is.
Yeah, hopefully it will be in the 2030s or 2040s.
Maybe we have billions of dollars or pounds in the future. And, we're one of the select few who go.
I'm not going.
Yeah, but if there's any major catastrophe, the survivors will have to go to Mars. So there's going to be a very select club of people who are going to have tickets to Mars. Right. You wouldn't want to be there.
And to be fair, Elon is very rich and very motivated, and he clearly wants to do it in his lifetime, and he's older than us, so he's going to do everything he can to get it done in his lifetime, so we should be all right.
Hopefully. I'd just like to see it. Anyway, so the new Apollo program, if you like, for the 21st century is the Artemis program, and these are the missions that are going to take us to the moon.
I appreciate the naming as well. Apollo's sister.
Yeah. And so they keep extending how many missions there'll be. Last I saw, they slated as many as 16 Artemis missions. So they've already done Artemis 1, which was an unmanned, uncrewed, but full-size rocket. Was it SLS rocket, full-size, to the moon, slingshot round the moon and come back just to test, to make sure they can still do that. And that was a complete success, or almost complete success. When the thing landed back on Earth, they realised there was a couple of things that weren't 100% perfect, but largely, sort of 95, 99%, all went well. They've already picked the crew to go back. If you scroll down, Samson, on that, a little way down, you see the crew.
I hope they're
diverse. Is a bit diverse, yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God. The first person of colour and the first woman to land on the moon. So anyway, that's the crew. So Artemis 2, they're going to do a crew, and that's in September next year. It'll be like Apollo 10, where they fly around the moon with people in it, fly around the moon and come back. And then Artemis 3, which is meant, I think, in 2026, same crew, I believe, is where they actually plan to land on the moon. And it'll be Elon's
That'll be
Starship.
An important first.
It's fun with the sequels,
And I think they're gonna land.
Fast and Furious 20.
I said they're gonna land at the South Pole, right? Yeah, Artemis 20. It might be. I think they're up to 16. I've heard somewhere. Saw a video somewhere. Because they want to build either permanent or semi-permanent human presence on the moon, probably at the South Pole where there's water ice in the craters, and the science is there or nearly there to make fuel and all sorts of metals and materials that are on the moon. You build things out of stuff that's on the moon.
Yeah.
Rather than
you have to do it from local manufacturing because of the reason you outlined. It's too much to take.
Too expensive. Yeah. Every pound of weight you take up into orbit costs.
You can actually even make solar panels for energy from lunar regolith. I mean, it has a woeful light to energy conversion rate, but because you can make it there, it's still superior. So you make it out of regolith.
And with water ice, you can break up the hydrogen and the oxygen, and there's all sorts of very clever things that can be done.
You break the water into hydrogen, which is rocket fuel, and oxygen, which you need to breathe. So yeah,
and to fire the engines as well. Yeah. You need oxygen, just like a bellows in your fire. Okay, so there's the Artemis mission. So hopefully, by I think it's slated. It says September 2026 is when we're going to put boots back on the moon. Now, the reality of it is, it'll almost certainly get pushed back because it just always does. It's just the nature of any big projects, not just space travel. Any big projects.
And that's also kind of Elon's thing. He's ridiculously optimistic and he always sets timetables, and he does actually achieve them, but never when he says he will.
Yeah, well, NASA gave him a little bit of a chewing out not too long ago, about 6 months ago, saying some of the technologies that SpaceX claimed they were going to develop for all sorts of things, they're a bit behind on that.
SpaceX revolutionised space travel.
Right,
something that NASA couldn't do in 50 years.
It's a really unfair criticism. Yeah.
Okay, right, fine.
Still, anyway, can you scroll down on my document there so I can see where? Okay, so yeah, over to SpaceX then, because their Starship vehicle will be heavily involved in it. And so if we can play this is they've had 4 test flights. This is a little video. If you can put the audio on, but quietly, and play this. The last test flight wasn't that long ago, and there'll be the 5th one later this month, I believe. I remember watching the first one, and it blew up quite quickly.
The engineering of it is so impressive.
I mean, even the sound. I mean, it's awesome, isn't it?
I mean, it's fire. What's not to like?
Lots of it as well.
Now witness the awesome firepower of a fully armed and operational.
I think it was just some
Starship.
It was just some African American, Elon, who came up with this stuff. NASA couldn't do this, and it just this kid came along and he revolutionised it.
Like 30 or 33 Raptor engines on it.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
and those things are big beasts as well.
Yeah.
Ship ignition.
And you can land
Stage
them.
separation.
Yeah, that will land unsuccessfully, but still.
And actually, SpaceX, they've got plans to use it as basically a replacement for long-haul flight replacement. So you can go from London to Sydney, in theory, if this all works, in about 45 minutes.
Yeah. The Earth spins at about 1,000 miles an hour, so.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't get much spin going on the latitude, but the longitude.
Right, yeah. Actually, fair point, yeah. Well, look, it is like something out of science fiction. It didn't go absolutely perfectly. It did then. They don't show you it, but it then topples into the sea. But still, that's not really still.
Yeah, but you've gone from partial reusability, like 90% reusability when it works, to what NASA was doing, which was you lost the rocket every time.
And Elon's plan is to build dozens, hundreds of these. The idea is that they'll build a new, at least segment, a portion of a Starship every day. What an amazing ambition that is. And this is the top bit, the actual Starship, if you like. And it very nearly burns up on re-entry, but not quite. But you know, you wouldn't want to be on board when it was doing something like that. It's landing in Australia in the dark. It did land, but then toppled over. But the thing is, they're not actually meant to land exactly. There'll be a big grab tower thing. They call it, what do you call it? The Mechazilla. Have you seen the big tower that they launch from? It's also got like a big 2 arms.
I've seen the 3D concept art stuff where it basically just hooks it on.
Yeah, it lands, or slows down, lands, and it grabs it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Test Flight 5, which I think is later this month, they're going to attempt that. They're going to have a go at it being caught by the Mechazilla. That'll be a sight to behold. If you play the one I just called Booster Landings, I mean, it is almost beggars belief, doesn't it? Go and play it sometime. Like you sometimes, I think, you sort of can't quite believe your eyes. Imagine if an ancient person or a medieval person saw something like this. These are stages of, I think these are from Falcon 9s or something, they're not Starship ones, but still. You remember the early days when they tried to land them, it sort of never worked, they always fell over. Well, they're getting better and better.
He was about to run out of money until it worked.
Yeah, at one point he very nearly ran out of money, didn't he?
Yeah, very, very nearly. Yeah.
Or the amount of money he was prepared to spend on it, rather.
Well, no, this was.
I think his PayPal fortune was kind of endless.
That was in the earlier days when he
much
wasn't anywhere near as rich as he is now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the early days a little bit and the engine. So when he first started, I remember him going on Joe Rogan, and apparently he said to I think NASA or even the Russian space agency said, "Can I buy one of your rockets, or can I buy an intercontinental?"
Well, first of all,
rocket?"
he tried to
And-
go to Russia, and he was going to buy a nuclear missile without the nuclear.
Yeah, without the
Yeah.
warhead on it.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, it's this much money, i.e., loads and loads of money." And he was like, "Well, I can manufacture my own one for way less than that." And that was what started him.
Yeah.
And when he first started, he got a team together and he said to his engineers, "Just build me the cheapest, simplest thing. I haven't got endless money, so build me the simplest thing." And they did, and they got so far with that. And at some point, after it took off and SpaceX became a thing, he said, "Right, I don't want I don't want the simplest old school, essentially the same type of engines they was using in V2s the Nazis were using, like the same concept of a rocket engine." He's like, "No, I want the best thing possible, the most efficient thing possible. Let's start from scratch and redesign the rocket engine to be much more efficient." So that's what they did, and they created the Raptor engine. Can we play the link? Have I got a link there of just yeah, play this. Just the awesome power of it. It's almost comical, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a grand way, in a fantastic way. Just like the ridiculous power.
You wouldn't want that on the
Um,
back of your BMW,
love it.
would you?
Absolutely love it. And just strap 33 of those on a single vehicle. It's so great. It's such a laddie thing. Like, what's the most powerful thing you can imagine? Let's build one. Like those old Saturn V. Well, because Starship's got, I think, I keep saying, 30 plus Raptor engines, but the old Titan ones, or the old, the ones, the Apollo ones, you'd have only like 5. Like, I think they're built by Pratt and Whitney. Have 5 of those engines. They're much bigger, much less efficient than a Raptor, but just 5 of them. These giant engines. It was the most powerful thing, the fastest thing ever. I think Apollo 10 or 11 was the fastest ever thing men have ever built. It went like 40,000 miles an hour or something at its fastest speed.
That's the best way to light up a cigar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Imagine lighting a cigar, standing just to the side. You'll be all right. So yeah, with Elon's vision and his Raptor, and NASA committed to it with the Artemis program, we're at least looking like they're going to build that Gateway lunar station. These are all the things you need before we can realistically talk about really going to Mars. But the steps are happening. Cole seems to be convinced we're not going to, or the whole thing will be scuppered by
I
global
think it will
Karens.
It's only the select few will go there.
So
Well,
slightly
only
off-
the best of the best will get selected for
Enlightened.
the actual mission. Oh, enlightened.
Yeah.
You've got to be a Plato scholar.
Yeah.
Only philosopher kings are welcome on the final Mars shot.
No, we're going to be honorary guests.
That'd be nice. I would go. I would love to.
slightly off topic, but
Yeah.
I always think that actually Venus is a great bet as well.
What?
What?
Venus is a
The
hellscape.
worst planet.
Yeah,
Don't wanna go
for
Venus,
for two reasons. One is, he's got an incredibly dense atmosphere. It's like 95 times the density of Earth. But what that means is that actually there is a buoyancy point I think it's about 54 kilometers up. Whereas if you basically take a lightweight city and put it in a sort of bubble and just fill it with normal air, it actually floats.
All
Like, like in Star Wars, those floating cities.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, Empire Strikes Back, yeah. So you can actually have floating cities about 50 miles up. And even cooler is you can then go outside with just a bit of an oxygen breather, and it's like normal temperature at that altitude.
Sure?
Yes, yeah, I'll send you all the stuff.
I thought Venus was the rain
surface.
sulfuric acid,
Well, surface is an
and
absolute
there's loads of ammonia.
surface is an absolute hellscape. I mean, the pressure will kill you, the heat will kill you, the lightning will kill you, the volcanoes will kill you.
But there's a
and
sweet spot 50 miles up.
yeah,
at
and
Venus.
and-
Okay.
and you can have a
Didn't know that.
relatively lightweight
Didn't know
city
that.
structure,
Okay.
and it will just float at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, and the other thing is actually if you take it even further, and this is a bit more tricky to pull off, if you think about it, like 98% of the atmosphere of Venus is carbon dioxide. So if you can transport a large, and it would have to be a large amount of hydrogen, which shouldn't be, I mean, and this is no time soon, this is like centuries into the future.
Yeah.
But if you were to take a large amount of hydrogen there from one of the gas giants, what happens when you combine CO2 with hydrogen? Well, you then get the product with CH4, which is methane, and H2O, which is water. So you can actually, you need a catalyst, like nickel or something. But actually on Venus, because it's so hot and the pressure is so high, even a catalyst like iron would work. You can convert that CO2 atmosphere, basically you can collapse it down into water, and you're just left with a planet which is roughly the same size as Earth, with an ocean and continent surface structure.
But it stinks like hell because it has so much methane. It's like being in a
yes,
It's
Yeah.
like hell. Venus
it's like
is
being
hell.
in a cow field with thousands of cows.
well, and it would be worse than that because all the volcanoes would still be there, and you'd still have the sulfuric acid in the atmosphere.
But it would be cool.
It's very,
Yeah.
it would certainly be cool. It's very, very interesting, but you're getting way ahead of yourself.
Oh, yeah, that
centuries
is-
in the future.
That is said.
One thing I would like to say, if I can make a direct appeal to Mr. Musk, I would love SpaceX to build and send a probe to Europa.
I thought you were going to say Uranus for a second. I think you were
No.
a joke.
Yeah, Uranus.
Europa is good. And
Europa.
Titan as well.
We've already been to Titan. The Huygens, the Cassini-Huygens
Yeah.
mission. We landed a probe on Titan.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to do on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is
There's,
Uranus the one with the wind that's around
Yeah,
450
Both
kilometers?
Neptune and Uranus are like wind planets.
NASA actually could have gone
Um,
to Europa, and they decided not to because there is a possibility that there's life under the ice shell.
Well, that's what I want. That's why I
Yeah.
would like Mr. Musk to go there whilst NASA are dragging their feet. So you send a lander there, and maybe this is some sort of heat plate, and it just melts through the mile thick ice or whatever it is, and underneath that ice is an ocean. We know there's definitely an ocean underneath the ice on Europa, and there may be life there.
Why a bit tangential, but why is Pluto not considered a planet anymore? That's just a huge
dwarf.
demotion.
It's a
It's
wolf
in a regular shape, so the definition was changed so that it has a regular spheroid shape.
You mean illegal?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a dwarf planet, but I still count it as a planet.
Okay, yeah.
Like the way I still
It
call
will
Istanbul,
always be a planet in our
still call Istanbul Constantinople.
Yeah.
Pluto's still a planet for me.
Yeah.
No, I think there's just many. Yeah, there's a few different reasons, but okay, I guess we'll leave it there. We've run out of time, unfortunately, but hopefully we're going to Mars in our lifetimes.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're putting out, you can see this speech from Carl, and if you want to see all the other work that we're putting out, you can follow us on Twitter where we post links to everything. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.